She had always been distant, polite but firm, keeping her space and her thoughts carefully guarded. But that night, when she refused to let go of my hand, her voice carried a weight I hadn't expected, words that broke through every barrier I thought existed between us, and changed everything I thought I knew about her and about myself. The colony's evening air was cool, carrying a faint hum of distant starcraft and the occasional murmur of alien life from the city streets below. I had been visiting my best friend's apartment again, sharing the modest space that humans and aliens alike sometimes occupied in this sector. My neighbor, an alien woman I had met through my friend, had always kept a measured distance, a polite nod here, a courteous smile there, but tonight felt different. There was a tension lingering in her movements that I hadn't noticed before. I had been sitting on the low, metallic sofa, scrolling through a data pad, when I sensed her presence before I saw her. Her steps were light but purposeful, echoing softly against the polished floor. She stood at the edge of the room, her figure partially illuminated by the soft violet glow of the colony lights filtering through the windows. Her skin shimmered faintly, like liquid moonlight, and her long, dark hair cascaded over her shoulders, glinting under the ambient glow. She was beautiful, of course, but there was something in her stance tonight, something tense, uncertain, that made my heart skip. "You seem distracted," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge that demanded attention. It wasn't teasing, not like her usual playful jabs. It was pointed, intentional, as if she wanted me to be fully aware of her presence. I looked up, a little startled. "Maybe I am," I replied cautiously. "It's been a long day, and, well, I didn't expect company." Her eyes flicked briefly toward mine, then away, as though weighing whether to speak. "Company," she repeated softly. Then she stepped closer, and suddenly I noticed the way her hands flexed, unconsciously brushing against her thighs as if holding back a motion she wanted to make. The air between us thickened. She began, and then paused. Her usual composed demeanor seemed to falter. "I don't like holding hands," she said abruptly, almost as if that simple phrase could protect her from something she didn't want to admit. I blinked, unsure if I had heard her correctly. "You don't like holding hands?" I asked, careful not to let my curiosity sound too eager. "No," she said, shaking her head. It's meaningless. Humans put too much into gestures like these. They think it shows connection, emotion, care, but it's temporary, fleeting, weak." I hesitated, studying her carefully. She had always been polite but distant, never letting anyone close. Yet now there was a quiver in her voice, a subtle tremor in her hands as they hovered near mine. The contradiction was impossible to ignore. "Or maybe," I said softly, "it only shows connection when it comes from someone who truly means it. Maybe it matters more than you think." Her eyes met mine briefly, sharp and intense, then darted away again. "You think that's true?" she asked, almost incredulous. I've been told that humans cannot sustain trust, cannot sustain meaningful touch. That connection is a fleeting illusion." I leaned forward slightly, keeping my voice calm and gentle. "Maybe humans aren't perfect, but sometimes we can be better than expected. Sometimes touch can mean everything if it's real, if it's shared." She swallowed a tiny, almost imperceptible movement, and stepped closer. Our distance closed until there were only a few inches between us. The soft glow of the room highlighted the subtle rise and fall of her chest, and I could see the faint tension in her shoulders as she struggled with herself. Then, slowly, she reached out, not fully, but enough that her fingers brushed mine. The contact was light, almost accidental, but enough to make my pulse spike. Her hand trembled. "I told you it means nothing," she whispered, a hint of defensiveness in her tone. I don't feel." Yet the tremor betrayed her. I held her gaze, letting my words carry reassurance instead of pressure. "It's okay," I said. "You don't have to pretend with me. I can see the truth, even if you can't admit it yet." Her eyes softened slightly, and for the first time, I saw a vulnerability that was completely unlike her usual measured composure. "You really can see it?" she asked quietly, "even though I try to hide it?" "Yes," I replied. "I can. And you don't need to hide anything from me. Not tonight." For a long moment, she hesitated, her hand hovering over mine, trembling slightly. Then, as if surrendering to something deep and unspoken, she pressed her fingers fully into mine. The warmth of her skin, faintly luminescent, and the subtle pulse beneath her touch made my chest tighten. Her hands shook, but she didn't pull away. I don't know why I'm doing this," she admitted, her voice almost breaking. I've never let anyone see this side of me. Not friends, not family, no one. But with you, I feel different. Something I can't explain. I squeezed her hand gently, keeping my expression soft and calm. It's okay, I said. Feeling something doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. You're trusting me, and that takes courage. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, and the tremor in her hands shifted from fear to a quiet steadiness. She leaned forward, resting her forehead briefly against my shoulder, a silent gesture of trust. I could feel the subtle warmth of her breath, her body easing against mine just enough to let her know I wasn't going anywhere. I thought trusting someone, letting them close, would make me weak, she whispered. I thought it would expose me, make me vulnerable, hurt me, but with you I feel safe. And I want this. You can have this, I replied softly, moving my other hand near hers, letting it hover just above hers as a silent promise. You're safe. You're not alone. Her fingers tightened slightly around mine, the subtle pulse of life and trust connecting us in a way that transcended words. Her head lifted, and her eyes glimmered with emotion, a mixture of fear and hope. I never imagined I could let someone in like this, she admitted, trembling slightly. But now I want it. I want you, even if it scares me. You're not alone, I reassured her. And you won't be. Not tonight. Not ever. She exhaled slowly, releasing some of the tension she had carried. Her hand, once trembling, now held mine with a quiet determination, a subtle but clear act of trust. You've shown me something humans can do, she said softly. Something I didn't understand: connection, trust, warmth. I want to stay like this. And you will, I said. As long as you want. I'm not going anywhere. The room was silent, save for the soft hum of the colony outside and the quiet sound of our breathing. Each subtle movement, the interlaced fingers, the light touch of her hand, the gentle leaning of her head, spoke volumes. In that moment, words were almost unnecessary. The trust, the intimacy, the fragile but undeniable bond between us, said everything that could not be expressed aloud. I've always thought humans were fragile, she admitted quietly, voice catching. I laughed at your ways, your emotions, your attachments. But now, I understand. And I think I want more of this. With you. You already have it, I whispered. And you always will. You can trust me to stay. Her head lifted slightly, her eyes meeting mine, glimmering with a newfound honesty. The tremble had not disappeared entirely, but it had shifted, from fear to trust, from hesitation to courage. She was holding on, fully present, and in doing so, she had revealed a strength that I had never expected. I'm scared, she admitted softly. But I want this. I want to feel it, even if it terrifies me. You don't need to be afraid, I said, squeezing her hand once more. I'm here. We'll face it together. She let out a small, shuddering laugh, a mix of relief and disbelief. I never thought I'd let anyone close. Not like this. Not ever. And yet here you are, I replied, a smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Because sometimes the strongest proof of humanity isn't in endurance or perfection. It's in letting someone in, trusting them, and sharing the warmth of connection. Her hand tightened around mine, the tremor now accompanied by a steady determination. She tilted her head, brushing a faint smile across her lips. You've changed everything. I think I'm ready. Ready to trust. Ready to feel. Ready to stay. And I'm not letting go, I said, my voice steady and calm. Not now, not ever. We stayed like that for a long while, hands clasped, bodies subtly leaning toward each other, hearts beating in quiet synchrony. The violet glow painted our shadows together on the polished floor, a testament to the fragile but unbreakable bond forming in that moment. The tremor in her hands had settled into a rhythm of quiet trust, a subtle but powerful acknowledgement that she was safe, seen, and understood. In that small, softly lit apartment, on that quiet night in the alien colony, we discovered something extraordinary. We discovered that trust, connection, and courage could transcend species, culture, and fear. That even in a world full of uncertainty, moments of intimacy, even as simple as holding hands, could become a lifeline, a declaration, and a promise. And as the night deepened, as the hum of the colony's life continued outside, we remained there, hand in hand, hearts open, discovering the strength in letting go, the beauty of trust, and the quiet power of being truly present for someone who had refused to let go.